Well, joining me right now is the ranking member of the House Armed Services Committee, Congressman Adam Smith of Washington. Congressman, good to see you, sir. Your reaction to Raf's report there, particularly the last part, when he talked about no reaction, no retaliation at this point from Israel. How comfortable are you thinking we're in a quiet period as diplomacy is hopefully taking effect?
Well, there is nothing comfortable at all about this situation. We don't know what comes next. So I think everyone, there is no cause for comfort in the Middle East right now. The conflict between Israel and Iran and Hamas and Hezbollah and various proxy groups is in a very dangerous place. Now, I will say I do take a little bit of comfort in the Israel response, claiming that this attack by Iran was a complete failure. I have a slightly different interpretation than your reporter there. As long as Israel can say, you know, look, this was a complete failure, it showed Iran's weakness, not their strength. That is an argument for saying that Israel doesn't have to do anything militarily in response. I think that is the biggest concern. Look, I'm going to agree with the Biden administration and say at this point, a response from Israel would be a mistake. When you look at what Israel faces from Hezbollah, the battle they have against Hamas in Gaza, to launch into what would be an ever-escalating conflict with Iran, I think would be directly contrary to Israel's interests in peace and security, and certainly also contrary to what the U.S. needs right now. We need de-escalation, not escalation.
All well taken. That said, Iran says that as things stand right now, it considers the situation over. Israel says it's not over yet, despite what's happening right now in that war cabinet. We know that has been uttered. We have new NBC News reporting that during the call yesterday, President Biden told Benjamin Netanyahu that while America's commitment to defend Israel is ironclad, the U.S. will not participate in offensive operations against Iran. So, again, using that word comfortable, it's hard to think that it will be able to apply anytime soon because the United States cannot control Bibi Netanyahu.
Absolutely. Well, but understanding, we're talking about a couple different situations here. I mean, first of all, there has been a conflict between Iran and Israel for some time now. I mean, that's what led up to the strike on the embassy in Syria, when Israel struck the embassy and killed the Iranian leadership. Iran has been funneling weapons and fighters to some extent into Lebanon, most notably with Hezbollah, but also to various proxy groups in Iraq and Syria and Yemen and elsewhere. And Israel has been trying to limit that. I mean, that's what the strikes in Syria and the strike on the consulate in Syria was hardly the first one, have been about. That particular conflict, that's not going to be over. All right. Israel's going to have to try to figure out how to deal with the threat that Iran presents through all of those proxies. But the second situation is the specific situation going on between the strike that Israel did in Syria against the consulate and Iran's response. I think you can say that should be over, and Israel needs to go back to figuring out how best to protect themselves against what they were dealing with for the years prior. And what they've been trying to negotiate with Hezbollah in Lebanon is, I believe it's a 10-mile buffer zone in southern Lebanon to give some protection to Israel and get to some kind of, peace between them and Hezbollah, while at the same time trying to deal with Gaza, the West Bank, and hopefully get to that peace agreement between Israel, Saudi Arabia, and the U.S. That's what can give them greater security. Getting into a war with Iran right now, and I've seen some reports about, well, we have to respond in order to reestablish deterrence. We need to go in and destroy Iranian capability. Let me just say, militarily, we're not in a position to destroy Iranian capability. This isn't 30 years ago when there were some, weak power, didn't have any military. They do. I mean, look at what's happened in Yemen. I mean, the Houthis have fired those missiles, and we have definitely tried to stop the capability. And that's just Yemen. That's just the Houthis, a small little rebel group. We're not talking about Iran. So we need to get the notion out of our head that there's some military option to completely cripple Iran. There's not. Diplomacy is what's going to be the key to stabilizing the situation, not more attacks.
Let me ask you, Congressman, within this last hour on Meet the Press, NSC spokesperson John Kirby addressed the situation as it stands right now. Let's take a listen to what he said.
Where things stand this morning is just an incredible military achievement by Israel and, quite frankly, the United States and other partners that helped Israel defend itself against more than 300 drones and missiles. I mean, it's just an extraordinary example of military superiority that Israel demonstrated to the whole world last night. And I think Israel also demonstrated that it has friends, that it's not standing alone, that it's not isolated on the world stage. Now, whether and how the Israelis will respond, that's going to be up to them. We understand that and respect that. But the president's been very clear. We don't seek a war with Iran. We're not looking for escalation here. We will continue to help Israel defend itself.
I take it, sir, you are 100% in agreement with that, what she said?
Yeah, absolutely. And one other point on this, Hezbollah in Lebanon, mere miles, from Israel, they've got thousands of rockets, thousands missiles sitting there. Now, as I understand from the reports I've seen, some missiles came from Lebanon, but a very, very small amount. If the escalation continues, if Hezbollah were to decide to go all in and launch everything they had from Lebanon into Israel, I mean, Israel would be in serious trouble. And I agree with John Kirby there in terms of the capability that they have and the allies and partners. And that's a key point here. Iran's been trying to isolate Israel. This makes it clear that they have not succeeded. So they better come to some sort of an agreement that ramps down the tensions.
Representative Adam Smith of Washington, good to see you, sir. Thank you so much.